Rajiv, another important point which Ishad mentioned, expanding on that, marketing cost in terms of office, if we go through the case study itself, that's close to zero for them because they're getting an organic demand on the office front. So that's another advantage which is coming for them. It's just the word of mouth which is actually getting them through into the offices.
So no sales. Imagine a business, no sales and marketing cost.
They're getting an advantage there.
You're now seeing why investors are asking them another question?
No, but scaling will require more marketing cost. Without marketing, how will they be able to scale it?
How did they get from 3 customers to 25 customers?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. The CEO got a cold brewer in the office.
They are calling the customer, or the customer is calling, hey, Microsoft has given you 4 keggerators and Google, I need 20 in my office.
Correct.
What's happening?
Is calling.
The customer is calling, right? And in the retail, they are making a promotion and all of that. 2 different businesses. What is the cost structure in an office business? What will increase as they grow?
Basically,
the supply chain cost is high because there is an expiry limit to that cold brew, and that's where they're facing a problem.
So instead of now doing retail outlets, they will need to figure out kegerator manufacturing, right? Kegerator repairs, so spares, nitrogen, different things.
Correct.
So they'll need a better procurement, better supply chain, and they'll need procurement of different things, not just milk, sugar, and coffee beans. They'll need, kya karenge? Do we make, do we buy? Do we make the kegerator, we become a kegerator manufacturing unit, or do we find a supplier who's going to make? Do we do repairs and maintenance? Do we hire somebody else to do repair and maintenance? Who does installation? My people love serving coffee. They don't even want to go to office and things like that, right? Okay.
Sir,
Sir,
this office service also helps that will become a platform for doing the promotional activities, which can help them in developing the new product NPD, and they can do the testing of the new products there. Later, they can roll it out into basing the feedback.
Like suppose they want to launch a new coffee, but remember, it's not a hot coffee they are supplying in the office. It's just a cold brew on tap. They're not doing anything on hot coffee there.
New variants they can try out there.
But that can be marketing platform they can get.
Yeah, it's a question to think, right?
I don't think inside offices they'll be allowed to do any marketing promotion for sure. Offices
so
not allowed.
Let's do one thing. We've just had some discussion, right? Assume this was a real meeting and we had this discussion. Let's redo the poll. Okay, you have the right to stay with your same board, retail, office, both. Okay, I will redo the poll. I will go back and I will stop sharing, and then I don't know how to do the poll again, but relaunch. Yeah, I have relaunched the poll. If somebody wants to say, oh, interesting, I never thought of these things. The way this is the cost going to go like this is the way it's going to go like this. Interesting points, right? Good discussion creates good points. So if somebody wants to change, you're welcome. Somebody wants to stay where they are, you're also welcome. So I have 24 votes already. Sorry, just take care. Yeah. So I have 24 votes. If anybody else wants to launch, 4 and 17. Okay. Should I end both? Okay, I enter. And you can share results. So let me go back to this. So after our discussion, purely retail moves from this to 4%. Office goes from 8 to 17%. And they kind of both remain the same. So both is the safe option, right? Yeah. Right. Okay. It's 12:12. I'm sorry we're not giving you a break today. We go a bit fast. The purpose of the case is to learn, right? It's to create discussion and to learn. It's not to see what's right or wrong. There is nothing right or wrong. Okay. Yes, Anantraj.
Sir, I wanted to add, like I had selected for the both.
Yeah.
So they are from my study, like they are positioning in a way that so it will be a healthy or alternative options for the soda and other things. So
okay, future products.
Yes, alternative for the alternative for soda or other related product which will be available in office.
Beer.
Yes, sir. So,
beer will never be served in office, but okay.
Yes, sir. So, coffee is a thing which can be taken, is a need for a human for the entire day. So, whether
Caffeine.
it be office or anytime.
Caffeine is needed in the office. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. So, if they promote in both way, it will be an advantage for them.
I want to change the question now. Important question. What do you think they are uncertain about? Are there any uncertainties in their mind, according to you?
No, I think no.
No uncertainties, Dheeraj?
I think there are a lot of uncertainty in their mind, especially when it comes to the office business. They are unable to figure out how to handle the operational problems.
Pause. What is problem and what is uncertainty? Knowing something and knowing that this is a problem doesn't make it uncertain now. Then I know it's a problem. I know I'm not good at, I don't know from where to buy the equipment. That is uncertainty. So uncertainty is when I don't know. Somebody says, I don't know, maybe at least that person said, I don't know Samsung. Okay, I don't know what's the total addressable market. What is the serviceable addressable market? What's the serviceable obtainable market, right? Fair question. So one uncertainty could be these kegerators. I don't know, should I buy? I don't know, Robert Peck's too young to have that experience. What else? What else could be certain?
Uncertainty of, whether the cold brew thing will continue.
Good. Is cold brew a fad? I mean, coffee is as old as we are, right? I mean, we means as old as civilization. It appears that coffee and tea have always been there. Though the fact is, they were also discovered at a certain point of time. There was a civilization before that also. But is cold brew a fad? I mean, and question is it seasonal? Will it sell in winters, Washington winters? Will it sell in cold brew is a fad? Okay, what else?
And plus the shelf life of the product. That's something.
But is that something which is uncertainty? As a product maker, I would know that, right? I can experiment it and figure out in 3 days it goes back.
Yeah, there is one uncertainty.
Yes. Because we are not sure. This is a new product, so we are not sure how the customer will perceive. It's not that. It is not that. Okay, I make tea. I can drink it after 3 days. I find it's fine. It's okay. But if I give it to Rajiv or Piyush or somebody else, they say 3 days old tea. How can I drink it? So it's not easy to sell it to somebody else. I'm just taking names. Sorry.
Good point. So people will say, you see, hot coffee. Everybody feels it's all freshly prepared. Right? It's all piping hot, freshly prepared. But cold brew, they'll say, is it, how many times are they refilling it and all? You ever thought about beer not in a bottle, when you go to these microbreweries? Have you ever thought, is it gone bad?
No. Generally,
if it's bad, you will come to know the next day.
That's the uncertainty.
And then you will not go there, right? So, but good question, good point. Yeah.
One thing that, standing today, with having seen COVID and everything, so Black Swan events is something.
But Black Swan events is nobody knows.
Yeah, so basically, there can be an office density change.
But in 2016, you didn't know that. Right?
But there's always a black swan event contingency that we always put up.
So uncertainty, very important for us to internalize. There's things we know. That's called known knowns, okay? I'm not good at office supply is now a known known. I'm excellent at retail is a known known. Okay? Then there is unknown unknown. Black swan is unknown unknown. Will there be a pandemic? Will there be a war tomorrow? Unknown unknown. Unknown unknown is not an uncertainty. And uncertainty is defined as known unknown. I know that I don't know this.
Competition?
Competition should be a known.
The blue bottle competition.
Anybody who's in business and he stands up and says, I don't know competition, he needs to go and do his or her homework.
No. The blue bottle competition from blue bottle, in the sense
what is unknown there?
The unknown is they have been growing with a very high
so that is known.
Growth rate. So, and the unknown is whether they would also introduce
call them just stuff. Pretend to be a customer, call Blue Bottle sales and marketing, say we need cold brew. They'll say we don't have. By when will you have? I'm sorry, we're not in this business. No. Okay. Everybody does it. Tell your HR to bring some 3-4 people from Blue Bottle and interview them. You'll know. It doesn't happen like that.
Rajiv,
but since it's I don't know today, but I want to know, we can call it competitive products in cold brew area, and we don't know. But we can know that, right? It's important to understand uncertainty. We think pandemic is uncertainty. That nobody knows. That's not how we plan things. That's not how we take decisions. If it happens, all of us get hit. Then we adapt to it. Right? So, building up. Yeah, please mute if you are not participating in class.
Okay. Rajiv, 2 more points from my side with regards to the uncertainties.
Yeah.
One is an uncertainty on how quickly the logistics and services can be scaled. Now, there's a lot of things which is going to come into play from that perspective, that how quickly can they move their servicing to a particular end.
It's a good question, but this is more a problem to solve. Okay, can we make the logistics operating? We have to understand uncertainties. I don't know enough today, right? But maybe this is also an uncertainty in their mind. Point taken, right?
And so, the second would be regulatory, sir, because this is again food and beverage we're talking about. So that may vary state to state and
good point. Yeah, and it's easy to solve that. Call a lawyer, ask him.
Right.
Call the expert. See, when you don't know something and you feel it's something that somebody else knows, call up and ask. Approach and ask. Get your answer. Right. So I'll layer it with the learning now that whenever we are, and that's our core. That was the core objective of this this initial case, which is whenever we think about choices, right? Especially, it's always good to use some structure, right? Because it'll bring more clarity to you. And a typical choice of should I do this or should I not do this, especially in a business area. In this case, retail and office. These are my 2 choices. So think about on what dimensions you want to analyze. And this is nothing but you create your structured framework to analyze something, right? So decision making should always be, there should be some structure you should adopt to it. It'll make it sharper. You can go with intuition, you can go with your gut, no doubt on that. And that may often be the right thing. But ideally, when you put things in structure, you will see as we'll unfold it to you. So since it's a choice about our future, we should look at market attractiveness. Okay, and in strategic thinking, we say looking at external, right? We should look at internal capability. What is my competence? What am I good at? Which is internal analysis. We should also look at competition, right? And if we plot all of this, maybe we can take a slightly better decision. Now, since we have retail and office, I put down some market attractiveness points. So I've tried to fill this up, which we could fill up in a meeting, right? So retail, they know this model, they understand this, their heart is in retail.
Can you go to the next slide, last slide?
Right. Market attractiveness, internal capabilities, converge. And my two alternatives are retail or office. So retail, there's a booming DC real estate market. Consumption trends are favorable, especially with millennials. They like to spend. They like to spend on experience. Brand matters. And brand has value. Customer experience matters. This is the characteristics of the market. It's also a known model, and their heart is in retail. In the office side, they actually are the first mover right now, as of now. Okay, there could be others, but as of now, they're the first movers. In classic entrepreneurial language, they are experiencing for a new product that they just took, to try. They are experiencing what is called the product market fit. You may have heard this phrase, product market fit, right? What does this phrase really mean in practice? Anybody? When somebody says, I have achieved product market fit, what is he trying to really communicate? Yes, Vinayak.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, I thought Vinayak had. So, Irshad, go ahead. Try.
Yeah, product market fit is something they're coming up with a product which there is a gap in the market, and this product is something which addresses that gap. Yeah, addresses that gap. Yeah.
Dheeraj, what's your view?
Yes, kind of similar with Irshad. Basically, there is a market, there is a gap or a problem which this product is solving. So people are benefiting from that. That is fitting their description or requirement.
Okay.
I have a product.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I have a product,
right.
And I made a product that actually was able to identify a large pool of customers who I identified the right kind of customers, the target, which is a great pool. So my product has an organic way of growing.
Organic way
because I had.
Okay, that's
growing.
a good point. So I'll add to what you are saying. You are all giving elements. The way market understands this correctly is if you are experiencing that your customer is pulling your product and you are struggling to supply it, you have achieved product market fit. So when you start experiencing a boom in sales and you are struggling to fulfill it, you can stand up and say, I've achieved product market fit. People will be willing to sign checks to you. What that shows is you came up with something, you also didn't know its potential, but the market likes it. So your hypothesis that this was a good need in the market is true, and now you have not scaled up for it. So the market is pulling it, you are struggling to meet, and therefore people will be willing to give you scaling up money because the hypothesis is now fulfilled, right? So maximum funding, large scale funding happens after product market fit, and large scale funding happens. And the test to that is you should be struggling to meet sales. That's called a test for that. Anyway, we'll come to that. Plus, I will show you the data. I do think I have the data here, but at a per unit level, office, while the price of coffee in office is low, but the margin are higher because you don't have people cost, you don't have rent cost, etc. Customer acquisition cost is low. Plus, as you grow these two businesses, in retail business, you'll need a lot of capital because you'll have to build a retail outlet. As compared to that, to grow your office business, the amount of capital needed would be much lower. Also, the buyer in the office is actually the office, is not the end customer. It's like a perk given to the employees. You could just go, coffee available on the house. So But let's look at internally. In both cases, you are dealing with coffee. In retail side, you have the brand capability. You have real estate partnerships that you already are now good at. You have know-how. You are able to run this business with growth. You think on the retail Pentagon, you may be a first mover, but others will catch up. And your capabilities to expand on retail is unique. Your competitors will have more capital than you because you are a startup. Office side, you have cold brew technology. You are in Washington, D.C., so maybe you have local connections, but you don't know this business model. You don't have distribution know-how. So you don't even have supply chain know-how, like where to buy the kegerator from. And employee alignment is actually towards retail. So your people are more wanting to do this, right? So that's the external, internal analysis. So people often say strategy making is a mix of analyzing external environment and internal environment. Right? So this is a little bit of that in practice. Now, in terms of data in Exhibit 11 and 13, Pentagon City, you make an operating margin of 18%. Office supplies, you make an operating margin of about 25%. So wholesale sales also you make an operating margin of about 25%. Java Shack, which is not a premium outlet, you make an operating margin of 14% right now, based on data that they've shared. If you analyze per unit style, the price of coffee, and they've analyzed, this is a pour over, so hot coffee. They're selling for 3.5, and this is in Pentagon City, they're selling cold brew for $4.5. Whereas the same cold brew, when they are selling in office, they have to sell at more cheaper price, so they're selling it at 2.16. Because this is with experience, this is just the product. The beans cost is the same, labor roasting cost is the same, bags and all is the same, blah, blah, blah. What is different is, if you notice, rent and utilities. Yeah. And also there would be labor difference in retailing. Right. So those are the two. So at a per unit, just unit costing level compared to the price, again, this is some analysis. There's 13% margin here. There's 11% cold brew in shop, but 15% here. Again, strategic thinking is not accounting. So you don't need to fumble over decimal 0.5. You need to understand where is higher margin. That's all that you want at the kind of level we are thinking right now, right? So you add operating margins also to it in your decision making. So you add numbers when you can. So margins in retail are 18 and margins in office are 25. Then you think through what happens in growth, which we just discussed. Retail the cost will grow linear. Office, always initially there will be cost of maybe a bigger roastery, a bigger cold brew location. But over time, these costs will not grow because you will have advantage of scale. Right? So office will be more this type of thing. And Piyush, you have a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. My question was that we are analyzing the 25% or the 15% per unit margin for office.
Right.
But we have to also, do you think that we should be looking at the revenue that these two other businesses are getting?
Of course. These are,
this percentage, the gross profit margin, whatever we call it,
absolutely.
That margin compared to the retail is much larger than the office. Unless we scale it to 3 times this business in office.
So this ratio says, correct, there's a difference of 3x. You're right. The revenue from Pentagon City is $600,000 US. The revenue from office is $225,000. So there's a difference of 3x. Agree with your point. You're right. There is the bigger question would be, if you think of office, how much will your business be? You'll have a high margin business, but how much will that be? So that's also a question to ask. Or that's also a question to analyze, right? Now, one important question to think who is the customer in the retail side and who's the customer in the office side? In the retail side, it's a consumer like you, me.
Could be families also.
So retail is a consumer, a family, a group of friends, right? Couple, etc. Individual or something. Who's the customer on the office side?
It is
that organization company.
It's B2B, but they
B2B.
are the customer, but the consumer is the
Consumer is employees.
It's
But who's negotiating the price with you?
It's a company which does it.
So
It's
who
a
is the
B2B.
company? A purchase manager, right? And what is the service level that he will ask? He will say, I need a 24-hour, like I need a product of fresh 24. So he'll behave with us as a vendor. Correct? I need this, I'm going to check, I'm going to pay you in 30 days. Whereas a retail customer will just swipe the card, right? Won't even look at the bill. You are in a premium outlet. How many people look at the bill?
So in retail outlet, you can command the price of your product, number one.
Keeping competition in mind.
Number two, you can have the positive cash flow.
Right.
Number three, you will have the bigger reach, and this will influence our office sales also.
Okay, hold. I just wanted to know who's the customer. Okay, so in retail, it's a B2C business, and the customer requirements are quality. Because you are in premium retail, they are not so price sensitive, but they want experience and service. In office, your customer is a B2B customer. He also wants quality, but he's very price sensitive. Because for him, he wants to show that he's giving a perk, but it's not costing that much. Maybe HR is your customer. A mix of HR and purchase are your customers in this, right? And they want reliability and delivery. So if the machine is down, it's like once you give a perk and then you don't have it, then people will crib. So you will push your vendors to give you reliability and service like that, right? And if your customer and their needs are different, your business model to cater those needs will have to be different. If you're in the retail business, you will be looking at your partnerships, your channels differently, what kind of people you want, what kind of capabilities you want differently. And if you're in a B2B business, then you will need a different type of negotiating capability, different type of contracting capability, your sourcing of these equipments. And so you'll need different capabilities. Extremely important for all of you to start internalizing. The battle in business, as much as it's about where to play, the how to win in business comes through capabilities and resources, which is a mix of technology, mix of people, mix of culture, mix of resources, mix of patents, mix of many things, right? And for everybody who thought we should do both, think about what you are doing in your business. And you're a startup. You have limited bandwidth, right? So two different types of customers, even though you're dealing in specialty coffee with two different types of service levels, and the back requiring two different type of capabilities, doing both, you will be able to do neither very well. So understanding the fact that there are choices and being able to critically evaluate choices and understanding that maybe I should do one and not both. It's a core principle in strategic thinking. It's a very core principle in strategic thinking. Should I do this? Should I not do this? And understanding that if I do this, I trade off. And trade off means I will give up something. And that is okay. Okay. In strategic thinking, that is okay. If I'm in a cement business, I do not have to have human resource policies like the one that Microsoft will have. I'm in a low-cost commodity business. I'll have different excellence in my business model. A service-centric business will have a different excellence in the business model, and both are okay. And a strategic thinker should be able to have that strength of judgment. So the other important point we wanted to initiate was uncertainty, right? So known knowns, that's fine. Known knowns doesn't mean all good. I can know the bad stuff also, but it's known, so it's fine. Unknown, nobody knows, right? So that's not brought up. Known unknown is the real uncertainty, which we should find out. And uncertainty is not something to be afraid of. It exists. And we can't remove it. So we embrace and we ask ourselves, what can we do about it? So the uncertain questions were, is it a fad? What's the market size? Is there really room to grow? I mean, it's a high margin product, fine, zero marketing, fine, zero sales, but is there room to grow? I mean, should we be really thinking of this space? Some other were really information points. What's the real cost of setting up a brewery, which is a cold brew brewery? Distribution should we do here? And of course, like some of you said, competition, I don't know what they're going to do. So these were the uncertainties facing CWJ. It's a true story, by the way. And they went about finding out answers to these uncertainties. So they did their own data. They looked at their own data. Is there seasonality? Their conclusion was that, of course, in the summer months, the cold brew picks up. But, I think it's not that it drops to zero in the winter months, because offices are air conditioned and it's just a choice whether you want to drink something hot or cold. They try to get customer feedback on whether it's a fad or not, and they got very positive views on the product. They got real liking. It was not just the liking of the experience in the office. They liked the product. They liked the taste. They liked its impact. They felt it was more healthy, no sugar, and those type of things, and so on and so forth. So then some of you asked about TAM, SAM, SOM, right? And to address what's the real potential of office, they did a bit of mathematics, and this is very interesting. Okay, so they were in DC Metro. So see the logic they built up. They looked at the total employees. So these were 2.9 million employees. They looked at employees in the kind of companies where they like to give perks to employees, so service sector companies, etc. So they came to say 1 million employees, and they looked at 5 gallons per employee consumption of cold brew. So they came up with the overall volume, and then they looked at their price of cold brew, and they came up with the revenue potential. And they did the same with all the nearby cities. So they came up that if all of these offices, decide to provide cold brew to their employees, then based on their annual consumption, there is a market, there is a TAM, total addressable market of 206 million in these regions, right, of this. Now, obviously, no company will say, firstly, this is just a total addressable market. So you bring it down. So if their goal is to reach a revenue of, say, 30 million to 40 million in office supplies, then they need to probably get 15 to 20% of this market, right? So that's a beautiful calculation just done bottom up by this company. This is real data that we have from this company. Again, you will have this deck. You can look at it, and we'll often refer to TAM, SAM, SOM during the course. So what do you think they did?
They went with both models, retail and office as well.
अरे इतना मैंने strategic thinking समझाया अभी आप both models.
In 1.5 hours, you made us ping pong from one side to the other.
Yes, and I will do that in each class. That's the purpose of an immersion, right?
I think
It's not right or wrong.
They went with office.
They went with office.
They must have went with office.
Because 15% is an achievable market share.
But what about the retail? The analysis of retail, you're giving us how data.
Okay, let's do one thing. Why don't I stop my share? Okay, you heard my voice. I'll make you meet Robert Peck. Okay, I have a recording of his explanation, and it's an 8-minute video. So let's watch it, and then we'll come back. Okay. It takes me a minute to start these videos. So and you'll have fun. He's young. You'll have to just give me 8 minutes. Yeah. Just 1 minute, my friends. Okay, I have to share sound and share screen, right? 1 second. Okay. Share sound, share screen, share, and play. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, wow. Thank you so much for having us here, first of all. And Frank, that was a great discussion. And I love seeing when people are open-minded about hearing the perspectives of different peers, different people, and you see people change their perspectives in the presence of that new information. What's also interesting is we saw people change from being really strong office to supporting, the brick and mortar strategy, and then we saw people go the other way too. And actually, if this is up, that's good because maybe I'll point to a couple things. So, what I'll say is at the time, it would have been really nice to have an MBA and a great education like this, to have these kinds of frameworks to think through these problems. And we didn't think about it with this framework, but when we see a lot of these points come up, these are exactly the types of things we were thinking about. We didn't know it was called market attractiveness and firm competitive advantage, but we were thinking about, oh my gosh, if we go into the office, how are we going to build the brand? The brand is like really the value that we've created. But our customers, our office customers are banging on the table. We went from like 3 to nearly 30 customers with no sales team. And the demand was, it was super clear. Now, but at the same time, our cafe was doing super well. Shortly after, kind of this case point, after we had already made our decision, our cafe wins like best coffee shop in DC. And if you go to DC and you go to our cafe, and this is our cafe, Amazon bought this plot of land and this plot of land, and this is National Landing. And we're now right here in the middle. Fortunately, I think Amazon's going to be a big coffee customer of ours at our shop, but hopefully also in the offices. The other part I would add to this framework, if you're an entrepreneur especially, and this might not be as relevant for larger companies, but what are you passionate about, right? Because ultimately you've left your job to go make no money at the beginning to do something, and it's that passion and that fire among you and the rest of your leadership team that's going to drive you to work until the sun comes up the next day and go every day and get up and do it. And ultimately, you got to be fired up. Now, what I will say is we could have been fired up about either one. And maybe you guys are wondering, well, could they have been fired up about the office if they're really excited about, I think there's a comment in the case, either I say or Chase says, man, there's something magical about being in the coffee shop, interacting with the customers. And there really is. But, as we went to these tastings and started interviewing the customers and seeing what they had to say, we realized people loved experiencing our product in the office too. The thing we were most scared about was, I think Anna made a good point. We had no business. We didn't know anything about transportation, last mile delivery, refrigerated delivery. That's what we were most scared about, is we were about to go and compete in a business that we had no business being in, because there was no one that we could find to partner with that could do the deliveries and the level of service that we needed for our customers. And we tried to partner with companies. We ended up going with the office decision. We didn't have enough capital or bandwidth. After talking with we talked a lot with our investors, our advisors. We debated a lot on the team. We had really sold a lot of our, our friends and family that had backed this business from the beginning. We saw that they were excited about the office opportunity too. And a lot of our early investors were investors in software companies too. And they did these recurring, SaaS business models. And they started to say, you know what, you should start thinking about this like a software business. What's your customer acquisition cost? What's your CAC? We're like, what's a CAC? We've never heard of this. So we had to educate ourselves on this new type of business model. And once we did, we're like, oh my gosh, we can build direct sales capabilities. We can do channel partnerships. Nobody's selling into offices in this way. And we're going into something that nobody else has. we've got now about 1,500 taps installed across 600 customers. In DC, we've expanded to Philadelphia, Baltimore, New York, and in the past couple weeks, silently expanded into Boston. I don't think people know we're here yet, but we are here in the Boston market now, and we're excited to kind of be a contender in the Mid-Atlantic area. We are geographically focused. As we've grown over time, we've been thinking, how can we grow our margin profile outside of coffee? We're partnering with kombucha companies. We're partnering with tea companies. We're partnering with seltzer companies and kegs and putting these products on tap using the same upfront fixed costs on the assets to expand the profile. Are we the liquid or are we the plumbing? Are we, the plumbing? Are we creating a route to market for any beverage to get into this new channel to reach end consumers? Or are we a strong Mid-Atlantic coffee brand? And we've certainly tried to leverage the store. And by the way, we shut down the other store. It was too hard running both. And the other one didn't have the Commonwealth Joe name. We ended up shutting down that store. We have this one store now. But I'll tell you, we got a lot of brand awareness, a lot of leads. We've landed a nice, contract working with Canteen, working with Amazon. Canteen's like a food service provider, but, we're helping them with the cold brew and the coffee for Amazon. And we couldn't have had that opportunity without the cafe. So there are these synergies that we can create, but we just, as an entrepreneur, you don't have unlimited resources and bandwidth. And unfortunately, while we would have loved to do this kind of like flagship model in different markets where you have like a great store in New York, a great store in Boston, and the name Commonwealth Joe would be great in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, we didn't have that kind of capital. Something else we're thinking about is how do we keep getting closer to the end consumer? Because of that question, who is our end consumer? We had, after we started getting all these offices, we had apartments coming out to us. How do we get this, in our apartment buildings? But you know what? We don't want to pay for it as a free amenity for all of our residents. How can we get our residents can we subsidize the cost? And that's how we got into this, we're experimenting with this kegerator vending machine model where we're passing on the cost to the end consumer. We can subsidize it or give it away for free. Someone in the last class that we were in was in an apartment where we had one of these machines in there. What this is allowing us to do is we think we disintermediate the traditional channels of retail where people buy beverages in the grocery store, convenience stores, coffee shops, and we can be a really convenient option. So our vision used to be making amazing coffee approachable and accessible. Today, it is creating amazing craft beverage experiences where people live, work, and play. And we believe that, the kegerator is a very scalable form factor with low cost, much lower cost than a retail store that we can put anywhere. And now we're using technology and Internet of Things to improve the cost profile and the complexities around knowing when the kegs run out, automating the next delivery, building a portal. We have a portal called cwj.io we use to allow our customers to self-service their own tickets that they create. They can place their next orders, do recurring orders, sign up on auto pay. And we're using technology to squeeze out additional margins and promote additional scalability. But, we went one direction. I think we could have went the other direction. And honestly, if we had a lot of you in the room when we were making that decision, maybe we would have went the other way because this class team split like 50-50. But ultimately you have to make a decision. A company needs decisive leadership. You go in a direction, and once you go in that direction, even if there's different people that have different views on the team, it's so important that once you make the decision that you all go in together. That's so important. Thank you so much for having me. And I guess we can go into Q&A. Yeah, great question.
Right. So, how did you find this?
Yeah, the pain points is something which he was speaking about, from the capital to the customers and other things, and scalability and so many other factors.
Right, and openness. He's very open and very frank, and saying that I didn't know and we didn't know. We didn't have the blessing of all this debate and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and he said, as you said, we all learn.
We learn.
We learn because as you said, there's nothing right and wrong. You learn and you evolve as a business.
Right.
Most of the business you see, it evolves. So
absolutely right, Irshad. with your experience, it adds more weight to the sentence. So, yes, Sharan.
Starting from their being passionate businessmen, they became pure businessmen.
Right. And you develop, so you start with passion, then you learn business, and then you become a businessman, and then that business creates another passion, right, about the new business that you are doing, and you create, it's a continuous journey, right? We never know it all in the beginning. That's extremely important to take away. So let me just layer it so that by 1, I fully layer the class, and then we can spend 5 more minutes. So you saw the decision. This is the summary of Robert Peck's. So they grew to 600 customers, and this was in 2019. So, by the way, this was recorded in January 2020, and you know what happened in March 2020. So, and you know, for a long period, offices shut down. So that's unfortunate, right? But nobody knows. They did succeed a lot. They have expanded office supplies outside DC. They're now using the same method to supply iced tea and kombucha. So there's more variety, which means people are more happy in these offices. They closed down Java Shack. They keep their main outlet. Now, remember, keeping the main outlet is different from growing that business. So they're focused on growing the office part. That's their core strategy now, but they can maintain the Commonwealth Joe Coffee Roasters outlet as their brand and where they enjoy serving coffee to people. So it's a multi-layered case, which means helping you think about choices. Now, it's also the reason why maybe the investors pushed them. If you were an investor's mindset, one was the pursuit of superior returns, right? Because for the investor, he's allocating capital. He can allocate it in plan A, plan B. For him, it's money, right? So, and he's seeing something. He's seeing that there's less competition. Market looks attractive. It's growing. These guys don't have the capabilities, but they seem to have developed something that the market is liking and it wants. Let's give them the money and give them some advice and direction to develop these capabilities. These are smart guys. They're young guys. They'll figure it out, and that's why we say strategy is thinking through, what you all said, it's thinking it through. So if you have plan A and plan B and you have limited resources, you should pursue that which is giving you superior returns. And you give up another thing because you need to conserve your resources. So strategy is also about being flexible in your decision making. We say don't lay the concrete beforehand. Don't have a decision beforehand. Just go through, people think strategic thinking knows it all. Actually, it's the most flexible art. It's the most flexible competency. It should change on the go kind of competency. It's also about embracing uncertainty. We will never have all the information anywhere. Yes, the mission now is what he said, beverage experience for where people live, work, and play. So I have put in some videos. You could watch it in your spare time. They are installed in a lot of residential buildings. They're installed in a few markets where you could just swipe your card and you'll enjoy watching some of these videos. But they're not essential for learning. They're just for fun if you want. Now, just think about this. This is slightly more around an entrepreneurial journey. The friends come together. That's first part. They start with supplying wholesale coffee. Pivot number 1, which is serendipity. They find a way to acquire a first retail outlet. Pivot 2 is strategy. So they focus on doing something upmarket. But this new business on the side is serendipity. But this is again strategy, which they then change to go to office. So life and business probably a mix of both, right? What we think versus what emerges, right? And so two other aspects so the qualities that you need as a good strategic thinker is to understand external environment and understand internal environment, immaterial of your function. So who are the customers? What's competition? What's happening in your industry? Trends and uncertainty. This is external environment. And understanding your capabilities in the different parts of your business is your internal analysis. Understanding the industry value chain, is another capability. And thinking through things with slight structure is the third capability, I would say, So again, with every context, these three will change, but these are the few things that strategic thinking should do. Business model is becoming very popular as one way to look at a business. And in a way, it tries to bring together all the components of a business. So we will develop this as we go. The third aspect in strategic thinking is strategy is a mix of what we deliberately decide to do and what emerges. So they were deliberately doing many things, but something was also emerging, right? And what eventually happens is a mix of the two. We can also say it's a bit of top-down and bottom-up process, right? Again, all of these ideas we'll build more. This is just our beginning class. So this is how we will develop more and more thoughts around both business strategy and strategic thinking. Our case studies are going to be diverse, but the problems that they will bring out are going to be things that we see in business, in different types of businesses, right? Thank you. We would like to time ourselves in a way that we at least reach the session by the time. I will sort of stop share. Let's try and remember, next week you have 1st March and 2nd March, if I'm not wrong, right? That's the weekend. 2nd March, you have a Blue Ocean strategy session. And before that, on 1st March, you have a session with me. So for that session, what I'm planning to do is to demystify strategy, the second part of strategy, which is what we call playing to win. And we will give you, tomorrow, Monday, we will put down 3 readings, maybe they're already there, of companies you already know about. So maybe Zara will be one, IKEA would be one, and Asian Paints would be the third one. So, and I'll ask you all to, as you know, you probably know these companies already, or you read about them, and identify the how, what are these companies doing? What activities and actions are these companies doing that is giving them an advantage, and what advantage, right? So just figure that out. I mean, just read it. It's not a pursuit of right or wrong answers. Just push yourself in the specifics of the how. And you may not get the time to read, so read any, it's fine, because the learning objective is immaterial of the industry. So if you get time, read all. I will discuss all. That's it from my side for today. Welcome to Strategic Thinking. Take your break, enjoy your lunch, and enjoy the session with Shaumita. She's a wonderful colleague and a very passionate individual. She'll push you a lot. So enjoy time. Should we call it a day? What do you think? Or you have a big question?
I have one question, or not question, it is my inquisitiveness.
Yes, please.
Why don't we study the case studies of Indian entrepreneurs, because they are more close to our reality, and we can correlate with them also. Like
Trust us. The different strategic thinking foundations that we have to bring in this course, they will all be done with a mix of Indian, non-Indian, depending. Every case study is very carefully selected, extremely carefully selected. And a case study is different from reading a story, right? It's thinking through problem solution. And we will make sure that you get the foundations right. And I bring up often stories of Indian businesses during this course, during leadership, during everything. Yeah.
Sir, one last question.
Yes, sir.
Right now, how it is doing, the publication which we thought.
Actually, they suffered a lot. Good question. Now, I'm unable to find the financials of this company. I generally, I'm a number person, so I do bring numbers a lot in the class. The US companies is very hard to find financials if they are not listed, right? Indian companies is very easy to find financials even if they are not listed. Now, there are lots of good sources to find until last year financials of private companies in India. So they really suffered a lot during COVID because they were in the physical business, right? So, but they're back now and they've grown a lot, but I don't have financial numbers. So only somebody who has access to very paid databases in the US may get it. It's hard for us to find.
They're alive.
Well, yeah.
They're alive.
They're alive. In fact, their chief business officer is an Indian right now. And the 3 videos that I've given to you, links, the short links, you can have a look at them. Firstly, you'll love to see their product, right? Let me show you one, since you are all like here. They are on YouTube, so those, you can play them. Let me. This is just to show you their product, how it works. 1 second. Stop share.
Our custom in-counter installation options allow the kegerator vending machine from Commonwealth Joe allows anyone in your space to conveniently enjoy premium on-tap craft beverages at little or no cost to you. Our custom in-counter installation options allow the kegerator vending machine to fit seamlessly into the aesthetic of any space. Commonwealth Joe provides 2 kegerator sizes for custom installs, or you can purchase your own kegerator to fit custom height and width restrictions. For a custom install, Commonwealth Joe will provide the kegerator vending machine topper, which includes the 10-inch HD touchscreen, credit card reader, and tap system. We will also take care of setting up the liquid and gas lines that feed into your in-counter unit. Your team will be responsible for all contracting work, such as drilling and sawing, as well as adding a drip tray upon final installation. Give tenants in your space an amenity they will use every day without sacrificing the aesthetic of your lobby or kitchen space. Email info@commonwealthjoe.com for more information on how to get started with a custom install.
And the other video talks about their business today, which is fairly recent. 1 second. That's maybe a good way to end it class. Yeah.
Wholesale establishments in the DC area and beyond. So joining us today is Neeraj. Commonwealth Joe is a leading provider of ready-to-drink cold brew coffee, and they sell it to offices. They have wholesale establishments in the DC area and beyond. So joining us today is Neeraj Pradhan, the Chief Business Officer of Commonwealth Joe, to tell us more about his brand. Good to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're here at the right time.
Yes,
We've been
and
waiting
I poured
for
some
you.
coffee just to kind of get you out of that afternoon lull.
There we go. I've been having it big time here, so thank you.
That's great.
This
Thank you
is
for having us.
Part of what you're known for, right?
Yes.
Is the cold brew. How did you get started in this?
Yeah, so Commonwealth Joe, we've been in business for over a decade, founded in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We are a specialty coffee roaster and cold brewer, and our mission is to try and make amazing coffee approachable wherever people live, work, and play. And so we're trying to do that with a focus on our award-winning cold brew coffee program, which you're partaking in right now. now.
Okay. So you can put this coffee in businesses,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And where else do you have it?
Yeah, so we have it in offices, we have it in retail establishments, we have it in airport lounges. Like, it started off as something that only tech companies were doing, but now with all of the trends that we're seeing with millennials and Gen Z entering the workforce, it's really skyrocketed across a number of different segments and across geographies. We started in the DC metro area, but now we're in over 25 states across the country. So it's really, it's really caught on.
Congratulations. You do it wholesale, as we kind of said in the introduction. Is that the best way, or what are all the methods?
Yeah, so we can work with offices. Think about kind of the coffee machine that you have in your office. Every single office in the U.S. has a coffee budget. We can make that experience world-class by focusing on the things that millennial and Gen Z workers gravitate towards, which is cold, ready-to-drink beverages. And we also work with cafes, bars, and restaurants in multiple different geographies to be able to bring more product variety in a way that's easier for bars and restaurants and cafes to do without needing their employees to brew it in the back of house.
I gotta say, there is something. I remember when we got a new coffee machine here at work. Everybody was so excited.
US style, they talk a lot. So, but good videos, good fun, something different. But we see what started as, what I find interesting is, what started as something which was never thought to be big. It was then crafted into something good. So every piece was there. You can see the machine. It's looking very good. It's probably very hygienic. It's working very well. It's got different options of payment. It's aesthetic. It's very, and they have figured out what the office will do, what they will do. And this is called investing in your resources and capabilities till you reach that perfection state. So anyway, the session was more about originating you to the idea of thinking about choices in more detail, right? So that was our core objective of the session. And trading off, which means it's sometimes okay not to do both. It's important to pick one and do it well. Now, if your bet is right, you will achieve more advantage and you'll be able to sustain. If not, then you will change. So that's life, right? Yes, Bala.
Yeah, hi. Just one query I had on this. So, as we see in the case study, they have clearly chosen one path, that is to focus only on B2B, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But the other point is, if they had done both, the scale would have been, obviously there will be risk attached to it, but the scale would have been much better as well, right? So considering the factor,
in this part, they actually achieve more with limited capital. They achieve more financial returns if they can scale it up. And they can, once you make one choice and you only focus on that, then you can deploy all your resources to that, which is called good strategic thinking. Versus if you had the capital, suppose this was a strategy that Starbucks was doing or Blue Bottle was doing, then you have capital. Then you create two teams, right? You create a business unit. That's what a business unit thing is. Then you have a B2B cold brew business unit or cold beverage business unit. And you've got your standard retail business unit. It is when you have constraint of resources, and our view is every business actually has constraint of resources. No business has abundant resources. That's just the nature of economics, right? It'll not let you keep abundant resources for long. So then this is a way to think about choices. Again, we are not saying they did the right thing or the wrong thing, and that's not our objective. In none of our case studies, the objective is what's right, what's wrong. The learning objective is different ways to think about problems and using different ways and seeing what answer comes out, right? And if you change the dynamics, the numbers, the capability, different answers will come out. In different regions, different answers will come out. And different answers will come out for different companies. This was a startup which was raising capital, and this was their answer. Some other company will have another answer.
Like who knows? They had followed that Starbucks model, they would have grown to 20, 30, 40 stores.
Yeah.
And then they would have expanded into a different vertical like that.
Yeah, who knows? But they're happy. You can see they're happy. They're charting. In fact, let's build this idea of scale versus competitive advantage. We'll build it up in the next session. So things are connected as they will. Cool. You must take a nice break and enjoy a soft session with Shamita, and I'll catch you all on Saturday. Yeah, and I'm taking the feedback about you getting a view of the whole calendar. We'll start to make that happen soon enough. At least the breaks we should provide so that you can plan accordingly.
Next Saturday will be in the afternoon, I hope.
I have to just check all the calendars. I don't. So this the INSEAD session is already pre-decided. It's 1:30 or 2:30 p.m.
Your session.
I have to check the calendar. I personally don't know myself. So yeah. I think we'll send it on Monday itself so that you can plan. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Good day. Thank you for your engagement.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, sure.